So as you all know, one of the things that's been happening in recent years is the rightward shift of young men. And from somebody who is, in the millennial generation, that's pretty disheartening to me because, and actually Crystal made this point to me the other day too. She said, when I used to see a guy who's roughly her age or my age, just in that zone, the default assumption was like, oh, they probably have pretty good politics, right? Because the millennial numbers are overwhelming. Like our whole generation is very left-wing. And you could debate or argue how it ended up like that. I think a lot of it is life experience and, witnessing, living through 9/11, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the subprime mortgage crisis, the Great Recession, COVID, whatever, on and on. Like, going through all of those things, there's this default sense of like, things really suck, and we need to change that. We need to make that better, right? And so the whole generation is very left-wing. Now, this younger generation, there's a split. In fact, I've seen jokes about this too. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it's like the younger Gen Z are more left-leaning and the older Gen Z are more left-leaning and the younger Gen Z are more right-leaning. And as I said, there's been this rightward shift, particularly of young men. I do think the internet probably has a decent amount to do with that. We know that it's been this very heavily right-wing era online for quite a long time. The right has sort of dominated the online space, whether it be the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder. Now, of course, you have like the Andrew Tates of the world. So it's a shame that that's where we are, but that is where we are. And young men are pretty right-leaning. Now, having said that, honestly, that is the most cuck shit imaginable. I can't imagine anything more cucked than being a young man and being right-wing. Why do I say that? Republicans have made it so immensely clear that if you're a young man, they hate you. They despise you. They could not give a single solitary shit about you. So here we have a great example of it. This comes out oh so casually. This right-wing hack Jennings, who's on CNN, listen to what he says here. The conversation is, of course, about the massive Medicaid cuts that are in this big, beautiful bill. It's over $800 billion in Medicaid cuts, which kicks low-income people and disabled people off of health care. Of course, they do that at the same time. You do massive tax cuts for the rich. So give the billionaires a hell of a lot more money, give the multimillionaires a hell of a lot more money, but screw over poor people and young people and disabled people. Okay, so here's what Jennings says in the midst of this conversation. Pay attention to the seething hatred underlying it for young men.
The bulk of this is going to cut to people who rely on this program to stay healthy and stay alive. And those cuts need to be prevented.
Completely false.
That is not completely false.
The first 98% of her answer was great because she was explaining exactly what the Republicans are doing. Illegals who are not eligible should come off.
They're literally not on. So that already was a lie. Oh, we're just kicking the illegal immigrants off Medicaid. Congratulations. Job well done. It's over. They're not on there. They're not on there. They can't get it. So that's a lie. It's a lie. All right, more. Ready? Here we go. Listen.
Illegals who are not eligible should come off. The work requirements. Look, I'm sorry, but if you're 30 years old and you're playing video games on grandma's couch and you don't want to get up and work, that's a problem for every taxpayer that has to get up and go to work every day. You need to go try to work.
So if you're a 30-year-old man and you're unemployed, you're just lazy. You're just lazy. All the 30-year-old people who are unemployed and they like gaming, for example, you're just lazy. You're just a parasite. You're just a moocher. You're useless. Get your fucking shit together. Go out and get a job. Pay taxes. I hate when they act like everything economically that's happening in this country is an individual personal choice. Really, you dumb son of a bitch? So when we had the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession and the unemployment number skyrocketed to 10%, in reality it was more like 20%. But overnight, all the millions and millions of people decided, I'm going to be extra lazy now. It's not that there were massive macroeconomic factors which led to people getting fired through no fault of their own. No, it's all a personal decision. And if you don't have a job, if you don't make a lot of money, that is just a personal moral failing. You're just a bad person. That's all that is. This is how they talk about the economy. At the same time, we have a minimum wage in this country, which is literally not even a living wage. You could work full time and not make enough money to survive. Does that seem fair to you? Does that seem like justice, where you could have a billionaire getting their 4th fucking yacht and 2nd private plane, and you work full time and you don't make enough money to survive? Is that a system that's defensible? I ask you that question. But you heard him. 30 years old on your grandma's couch playing video games, like, fuck you, I'm kicking you off Medicaid. First of all, you asshole, people who are unemployed still deserve health care. Imagine thinking like, hey, if you lose your job, then I'm okay with you going bankrupt for medical bills, or I'm okay with you dying. That's the first point. The second point is, they're kicking people who work off of Medicaid too. This is the other lie. The idea, it's only work requirements. You're not going to kick anybody off who actually needs it. That is not true. With over $800 billion in cuts, people who work, of course, are going to be kicked off, which gets back to my point. Here you could have somebody working full time, not even making a living wage, and they lose their health care. How is that fucking fair? How is that just? How is that a civilized society? When you have a member of society who you say fuck off when the times get tough, well, guess what? For young men, the times are always tough, you dumb bitch. They're always tough. The job market sucks. All the jobs were shipped overseas. The jobs that remain, service sector jobs, they don't pay that fucking well. People don't have careers anymore. It's the gig economy now. You jump from one job to another job to another job. It's not like a company takes you in and treats you well and gives you steady raises and gives you great benefits. That's a thing of the fucking past. But he's blaming you. So if you're a 30-year-old man and you like playing video games, this is what he fucking thinks of you. This is what he thinks of you. This is the party you want to be associated with. Now, the Democrats, they have problems, don't get me wrong, and I'm more than happy to criticize them, but they're not cutting Medicaid over $800 billion fucking dollars. They don't want you to lose your health care. They're not stereotyping you and berating you because you happen to be 30 years old and you like video games. But if that wasn't clear enough for you, how about I give you one more? How about, Kyle, this is just a fucking conservative pundit on CNN. He doesn't speak for, like, MAGA. He doesn't speak for Republicans more generally. Well, how about, I don't know, the Speaker of the House, the Republican who's at the top of leadership in the country? You have Trump, you have Vance, and you have this guy, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. What does he say? Mike Johnson claims Medicaid cuts are teaching a moral lesson to young men. The Republican Speaker of the House insists changes to Medicaid are about cutting waste and abuse, as well as improving men's dignity. Does it give you more dignity if you go bankrupt from healthcare bills? Does it give you more dignity if you die because you can't afford to get the care that you need? Does that give you more dignity? Is it dignity when you have to go $30,000 in debt for some surgery you didn't know you needed until yesterday? Is that dignity? Is that dignity? Young men need to teach you a moral lesson. The moral lesson is, in a civilized society, certain things are off the table. We need universal health care. Everybody has a right to health care, period. Full stop. We should have a living wage in this country. We should have unions so people can get a living wage. We need to tax the wealthy and redistribute and have a strong social safety net. Medicare for all, Social Security for all. These are the things that we need. The young men should teach your ass a moral lesson. That you don't come in, arrogant as ever, slashing Obamacare as they're doing, slashing Medicaid, slashing Medicare, which is also part of this bill, doing what Elon did, cutting pediatric cancer research and Meals on Wheels, and flight safety officials who they fired. And then, of course, a bunch of planes started fucking crashing, slashing the National Weather Service, so our weather forecasts are way worse now because they don't put as many balloons up there. They need to teach you a moral lesson. You are the scumbag. By the way, all these assholes that are bragging about stripping healthcare away from young men, they all pretend to be the most Christian. Right? Oh, I love Jesus. Oh, I love Christianity. Is that what Jesus would be doing? Would he be looking at, oh, you're a young man. Fuck you. I'm taking your healthcare away. Go fuck yourself. Oh, you like video games? Asshole. You need to learn a moral lesson. Is this what Jesus would be doing? Stealing from the poor to give to the rich? Is that what Jesus would be doing? Young men need to wake the fuck up. Andrew Tate is not going to make you escape the Matrix. This motherfucker brags about having a Bugatti and a Maserati and this and that. The robber barons love that shit. They love that shit. Here you have a hyper-materialist, consumerist fucking criminal, right, who's charged with now 21 counts in the UK of rape and assault and all sorts of shit, right? That's your fucking role model? That's your role model? You want to look at Andrew Tate for lessons on how to live life? Treat women like shit and be a hyper-capitalist. There you go. I boiled it all down for you. Be a massive misogynist and hate women and be a hyper-capitalist. And by the way, don't worry, you're never going to get to the top 0.01%, but just pretend like you're in the top 0.01% and your life will be good. This is the mindset. This is what he's teaching. No, stop looking at assholes like that. Stop looking at Trump and the Republicans who are destroying this country day in and day out and realize they despise you. They hate you. They see a mark. You're a mark. They tricked you into voting for them and then they steal your health care. Andrew Tate tricks you into watching him and then delivers you nothing but bad advice. That's what it is. Andrew Tate is a fucking con artist, right? He's what was it, like Tate University or some dumb bullshit that he sold people, just shaking down young men who are socially awkward, who can't get a girl, robbing them, committing fraud, right? This is what these people are. Wake up. Wake up. Right-wing politics is not the fucking answer. It's not the answer unless you want to be broke and homeless and miserable with no health care and no life prospects. But if you want that, for sure, keep going right-wing. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.